Yeah. Oh, I got a little surprise for you. Surprise! You'll never believe who I got on this track.
Mons.
No way! I hope you strapped your seatbelt on. Here we go. I never hitchhiked, but if I ever did, I'd bring a monster along I could ride with. Buckle up, cause these nuts on the freeway can't drive a lick while they put on their lipstick and listen to Lizzo. It's ridiculous how these chicks can't manage to swerve quite enough to miss another wrecked fender, a dent left in the wake of this crazy lady's latest bender. No lie, your whole life could shift in an instant. It isn't a joke, now is it? Broke cause your insurance choked the minute you picked up the phone, they weren't home to get it. Real talk, now you're stuck walking, thumbs up, hoping one of these trucks will stop so you can hop in. And to top it off, you're running late, Uber high rates to catch a ride off of the interstate.
When it feels like life is a wreck, we keep driving. Nobody said it would be easy. Sometimes a detour left is the best way to get back on the right track. And when it feels like life is a mess, we keep striving, don't even stress, keep riding. Nobody gets to the finish line without mileage, but my we are blessed. I keep driving, surviving, and these rides will align. I believe I've been assigned when the team riding a ride. So when I get behind the wheel with time to kill, I provide the real. I've been trying to inspire anyone trying to build. On the information highway, I caught a flat tire. I'll be backfiring, follow directions, admiring the way the Lord can recalculate my directions. But now my faith is a blessing, and I'll be saving the message, The devil trying to delay with a parking ticket. When the art is wicked, I'll be remaining the part that rips it. Let's go. I never panic, the Father is my mechanic. And even though I was manic, it's harder to understand it. The speed racer, the dream chaser, the theme pacer, an extreme rager who seems made for the king's favor. And even if my transmission breaks down, I'll get another charge in my faith now. When it feels like life is a wreck, we keep driving. Nobody said it would be easy. Sometimes a detour left is the best way to get back on the right track. And when it feels like life is a mess, we keep striving, don't even stress, keep riding. Nobody gets to the finish line without mileage, but my we are blessed.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Gospel right here on CHH Jams and Level Up Nation. Shout out to everybody out there listening on CHH Jams and I believe continuing Don't Stop Radio, and all our other affiliates and our podcast affiliates as well. You actually can listen live from TuneIn as well. If you're familiar with TuneIn, you can download the free TuneIn app and listen to our show. And you can also go on Roku and find the TuneIn app on Roku and look and listen to us on TV as well. So, you can look at us, listen to us. It doesn't matter, man. We out here, baby. We out here, baby. Trying to sound like that little boy that his mom be bringing him food, be like, "You hungry?" He's like, "Of course, mama."
Okay, Orlando, I ain't seen that one. I don't know what that is.
Really? He's a little, he's a New Orleans fan and little kid, and she always brings him food, and then he's like, and he'll explain what's on his plate, what he's about to eat, and then if she has like some vegetables there, he'll say like, "I got some green peas to keep me healthy." I was like, little cute little boy. Yeah, when I see the next video one day, I'll send it to you and let you take it.
Is that like new? Like, is that in the millennium like now, or was that back in the day?
Nah, new. It's now.
Oh, I don't know that one. You're going to have to share that one.
Yeah, I'll share it with you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our sister is in the building with us. Kimberly, how you feeling? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great tonight. I'm feeling great. Got my boxing gloves on. I'm ready
Oh
for whatever comes out tonight. I'm ready. Ready.
man, oh man. Let's calm down, Sugar Ray. Let's calm down. Calm down. We know you got it.
I'm
You got it.
ready.
We know you
Got
tough.
this.
You got
I
it.
got this. I got this.
Well, shout out to everybody out there that did their due diligence and whichever way I'm not getting into any political things here, but
Nope.
whichever way you decided to go, that's the way that you felt that the Lord brought you towards. Period, point blank. That's it. So let the best man or best woman win. Period. That's where I'm leaving it. That's where it's at. So, so ladies,
Out of all of this, Orlando, it is my desire that people finally understand that church and state do not mix. This is
mm,
two different things. And the problem has been that they're trying to merge it as one. And that ain't how God wanted it. So it is my prayer that we finally wake up from that. That's my prayer.
it's definitely not mixing once you meet your maker.
Oh no. Oh
You know
no.
that's which side you voted.
Exactly. That
I'm just
ain't what he gonna ask.
if he did, there was nothing in the Bible about that. But I digress. I'll pull back. I'll pull back. 'Cause people, I don't want nobody coming after me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want anybody coming after me. Do you? Do you? But I'm
Do
just
you?
saying there was nothing in the Bible about it. So do you?
Mm.
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, y'all just checked out that banging lyric video, which that on the want to be will probably be one of the first questions I have for our special guest is that lyric video. I really like that and how it was put together. Also, if you recognize the artist that was with our guest, Exile, that was Monster Tarver off of Menace Movement with Dayton and all the brothers over there. So definitely a beast in his own right. Also, he used to be a professional wrestler. So went professional wrestler to CHH artist. I would love to get him on the show and find out what that transformation was all like. But whew, man. So without
I wonder if that was anything like Tully Blanchard, who went from wrestler to pastor
mm,
with a church. I wonder if that was anything. I would love to. I would love to know that too.
yeah. The funny thing to me is a lot of wrestlers after they finish wrestling for good, then
Hmm.
you find out they were Christians. But
Right?
while they're in the ring, you hardly hear about it. I wonder why.
Because when they're in the ring, I learned this from what was the guy that used to have the lady named Elizabeth? Ronnie Garvin, the wrestler Ronnie Garvin.
Uh, uh,
Marvelous Ronnie Garvin was his name. But I talked to him in length one night in Heckinger's, but he told me that when their character is established, they have to be in that character at all times, no matter what their real life is like.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So without further ado, we don't want our buddies sitting back there in the green room to eating all the Skittles and all the grapes. You know what I'm saying? These artists, boy, they are so particular. He wanted all peanut M&Ms, no green ones. No green ones. No green. Ladies and gentlemen, our brother Exile is in the building. Turn
We
your
can't hear you.
bro.
All right. Can
There
you
you
hear me
go.
now?
There you go.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Just want you to know I ate all the M&Ms and Skittles. They're all gone. None left. But
And
it's good to
it
be
took
here.
a while. Me and Kim, it took us a while to get all the green ones out of there. You
That's
wouldn't
right.
imagine how many green peanut M&Ms are in a pack.
That's funny. Yeah, it's
Welcome.
good to be here. Thank you. Thank you for having
Hey
me
man,
on.
I'm glad that you came on with your mic off like that because it made me feel good because you do the same thing on your show. So I was like, okay, at least he actually does this on a regular basis. On a regular basis. Hey,
Right.
bro, let the folks know who you are and where you're from.
Well, my artist name is eCsile, as you mentioned. My real name is Cameron Darby. I'm from Oregon, and I've been out here my entire life. Beautiful state of Oregon in the Pacific Northwest, and yeah, just super excited to be here. Glad that we connected, and I've really enjoyed our interaction so far, and just excited to be here with you and chat a little bit tonight.
Pardon me. For those that may not know, Exile also has a show called War Room, which he does it with his buddy Chosen Will, and it's not a what do y'all call it? It's
It's not a review show.
review show. There you go. It's not a
Yeah.
review show. They play the music and they make sure everybody they show the love to the artists and play their music, things of that nature. So make sure y'all check them out on I believe what is it, Wednesday? No, not Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday nights.
That's
Right? Yeah, Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure y'all check them out, man, and all the great music that they have playing. And we also, which we need to catch back up and doing that again. We also play their show on CHH Jams in rotation as well. So excellent time, brother. What I'm gonna do is go ahead and let my sister jump on in there and kick us off. Go ahead, Kimberly.
Well, before I start getting into my brother Exile's business, I want to, if you have joined us tonight on Let's Talk Gospel, I want to thank everyone who took the time out to sit in with us and do something different besides worry about what's going on out there. And hopefully we can bring you some good information, some good testimonies. We can make everyone feel great when they leave here tonight. Thank you again from myself, Bertie, and Orlando. Exile, I want to start out by saying, how did you come up with the name Exile with a C?
That's a good question. So, uh, I started making music probably in about roughly the year 2000, and initially, I was spelling it, the standard way. And what I discovered, probably a few years into making music, is that there was another artist out here in Oregon, um, who also had that name, and um, he didn't spell it the traditional way, but it started with X, and it was just very similar. And we were kind of doing shows and interacting with some of the same people, in some of the same circles, and it started to get confusing for people. And so by that time, I had been doing music long enough that I really felt a connection with that name. I felt like it was, a name that really captured the essence of kind of how I felt as an artist, and the message that I felt like, inspired, to share with people. And so I didn't want to completely change my name. It was early enough. I probably could have gotten away with doing that, from an artistic point of view, but it just didn't feel right. And so, I thought a lot about it and prayed about it, about how I could find a way, both, for myself as an artist and also as a courtesy to him, because I wasn't aware of him when I started making music, but he had been doing it just a little bit longer than me, not much. And so as a courtesy, I wanted to be able to differentiate us, from each other. And so that's kind of what I came up with, is, just trying to spell it phonetically. My legal name, my legal first name, obviously starts with a C. And so it just felt right to incorporate the C in it and try to spell it phonetically. And it's stuck. It confuses people sometimes, but that gives me opportunities to share, even more. And so, I just have stuck with it.
Oh wow. Now when you when you said you was how you were that you've been rapping since 2000, were you originally starting out as a CHH artist?
That's a good question too. So, yeah, you know, the answer to that I think is kind of complicated. So I definitely started out as a clean artist who, you know, believed in God.
Uh-huh.
I think at that point in my life, I was really kind of approaching a crossroads where um, I had come out of, you know, a season of being angry and in rebellion,
Oh
and had
yeah.
not really been following God. And he was starting to sort of prune me and put people and things in my life that you know, were indicating to me that I needed to start following him and seeking him and making him a priority in my life. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, initially, um, to be perfectly, you know, transparent, when I first started making music, I wanted to make music that if my mom heard this music, you
Hmm.
know, she wasn't going to call me up and say, "What in the world are you doing?" Um, but at the same time, during that season of my life, like I said, God was really in multiple ways, kind of, you know, tugging at me, and so probably I would say like the first year or two that I started playing around with making music, um, that process was happening, and um, it just kind of naturally progressed over about a year or two, that I came to a place in my life where God became a priority, and so that naturally started to be reflected in the music more and more. I don't think I ever made a conscious decision, "Hey, I'm going to be a CHH artist." I
Right.
think just the things that were going on in my life and my faith naturally just came through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, you know, if you were to go back to the earliest music that I make, which is locked in a vault, and I don't show it to people, um, but you wouldn't find, you know, a bunch of vulgarity and crazy stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you also, you know, you wouldn't see some of the things that come through in the music that I make today or have been making for most of the time that I've been doing music.
Wow. So there was something that I read about you. Um, there was in your bio, they said there was a point where you disappeared from music.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what was going on in your life when you disappeared from music?
Yeah, I sure can. So, I got married pretty young,
Uh-huh.
um, and when I did get married, I basically inherited an instant family. Um, my lovely wife had been married previously, and
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, uh, her husband left her and left her
Mm-hmm.
with a couple of small kids.
Right.
So when we got married, I instantly was not only, you know, a husband at a pretty young age, but a father.
Mm-hmm.
And we eventually had one more child. And so, you know, I'm raising three kids, and I'm trying to learn how to be, you know, a husband and a man of God,
Yes.
and doing music all at the same time. At one point, before I stopped doing music, I was a youth leader at a couple of different churches. My wife was running a children's program. I was doing music. I was traveling around the state of Oregon, going to Washington sometimes, and doing a lot of shows. And as I'm sure you both are aware, you know, when you're doing any type of ministry, it can be pretty taxing. It can be
Oh
time
yes.
consuming, and it can impact not just us, you know, but obviously our family. And so
Mm-hmm.
I reached a point where um, I felt kind of convicted that, you know, the music was taking away from time and attention that I needed to be giving to my wife and to my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And um, at the time, I also kind of became a little bit disillusioned with just some things that I was seeing. in addition to doing music myself, I was helping to do like some promotion of small concerts and stuff. Nothing massive.
Right.
But I saw some things that were discouraging. And so probably about 2013 or so, I started thinking about it, and I kind of became convinced that God was really kind of telling me to lay that down and step away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And so very reluctantly, that's what I did. And, I endeavored to try to focus on my wife and my kids and make them more of a priority. And that took me on actually kind of an interesting and wild journey for that time that I was away. But that's sort of how that happened.
But I'm almost sure, without even being around you at that time, there was some massive growth that took place during that time.
So yes, there was some growth. There were also some struggles.
Yeah.
And I think, it's so funny in life, right? Like we see what's directly in front of us. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we have a tendency to want to evaluate things based on what's directly in front of us. And there's so much beyond that we can't see, right? So
Yes.
it was a time of growth. It was also, like I said, a time of struggle. What I realized, and actually what brought me back to music, was that when I stepped away from music,
Mm-hmm.
that was at that point the majority of my involvement in ministry and trying to point people to Christ and tell people about Christ. And when I stepped away, even though I had the best of intentions, and at the time I felt that that's what God was telling me to do,
Mm-hmm.
I also was naive in some ways and a little bit short-sighted, and I didn't replace that with any type of active ministry. And so, while there were some good things that came out of that,
Mm-hmm.
definitely more time for the family and stuff, I would say that in some ways, spiritually, I suffered a little bit because I think it's important for us to, as believers, to be. Now, it doesn't have to always look like, any particular thing. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to be music. But there's a lot of value in being involved in ministry and some sort of ministry, right? And
Mm-hmm.
actively sharing our faith with people and really trying to, to live out that Great Commission. And so when I stepped away and I didn't replace that with anything real active, my relationship with God at times, suffered a little bit.
Yeah.
I never stopped believing. I never, I didn't leave my wife or, do anything crazy, have infidelities or anything like that. But my faith, my zeal for God, at times waned. And,
Yeah.
I think what I saw, over the last few years, as I've started to do music and some of the things that led me to do that again,
Mm-hmm.
is that, it wasn't just me that suffered during that time, right? Like as a husband, as a father, I have a responsibility to support my family, to lead my family through my example, which
Mm-hmm.
is, ideally to follow Christ's example, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And so in struggling in my own faith, it was detrimental to my family in some way.
Yes. Yes.
And so realizing that was actually part of the series of events that led me to come back into music.
Mm-hmm. Well, our brother Nick Nat said facts. So that's telling me he can identify with what you're saying. That's
For
what
sure.
that tells me. So now, if my brother Bertie was here, he would ask you whether secular. Oh, okay. Orlando, how does he say it? Whether secular or faith based? Who would be some of your top 5 collabs that you'd like to do?
My top 5 collabs, secular or faith-based. So, I don't want to sound cliche, but I'll be honest with you. I have not much desire to work with secular artists, and it's not, because I think that I'm better than them or
Oh yeah.
anything like that. I just for me, this really is about pointing people to Christ, right? And
Right.
so my desire is to work with like-minded individuals who also have that passion. And I just, I think, there are different schools of thought as far as, interacting with artists that are not necessarily Christian. I'm not knocking anybody for, pursuing that, like as a ministry in itself, right? Reaching out to them. But for me, I just, my desire is to find like-minded people that just want to proclaim, the name of Christ, and to work with those people. And so, top 5, that's a good question. I will be honest here. I really, the last probably 6 months to a year, especially as we've started to do the War Room, my taste has shifted a little bit. And, I listen to a lot of artists that don't necessarily have as massive a platform, as the big artists in CHH, so to speak. So I actually feel really fortunate. It's so hard to nail down a top 5 list, but what I would say is, there are a lot of artists with, small to moderate platforms that I either have been blessed to be able to start working with, or have been able to interact with and would like to work with. So, I mean, I put the song out with Word Rat. Super awesome brother in the Lord, genuine, sincere guy.
He is.
Who's also very talented. That was huge for me. I've got a project coming up soon. Features Mr. Pickney and TFL. That's going to be dropping hopefully sometime within the next month to month and a half. I feel super blessed to have been able to work with those guys. I've had some opportunities, obviously, to, I was able to get that collab with Monster Tarver. And I have a song with ASAP Preach also. So those were blessings. But I am really excited about artists that are not necessarily at a place where they have massive platforms. I think working with Birdie would be awesome. I would love that. I'm just super excited. I mean, Nick Knack and Toussaint, some of those guys, I mean, that's such a hard question. The top 5, I don't know. I think I've given you some names. I think I could probably come up with 5 more that I would love to work with just as much, to be honest with you. So
I gotta admit, CHH is new to me. And so each time I think I have a favorite CHH artist, like here comes another one. So I can't, it's hard for me to put them all in order of who's my favorite, who's my best, who's my this and who's my that. So I had to, it's hard. But what I like about all of you is that your heart is just sold out to Christ. It's like a warrior in each and every one of you that I'm coming across as I meet them, and that's what I love. So it's hard to say who's my favorite. Everybody's good. But now, if I ever say you made the convertible, then that means you're extra special.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep working until I reach that.
I'm going to turn it over to my brother Orlando.
All right.
Amen. Thank you. Shout out to everybody that's in the comments, man. Our brother Birdie was in the comments. He said he'll be jumping on soon. Shout out, of course, to Mary Gooseby. Man, definitely, we love you. She said they all hit their own special way. Amen.
Yeah,
amen. Talk about
true.
artists. I always look at it this way when it comes to trying to pick like your top 5 or your favorites, things of that nature. When somebody asks me that question, I tell them, I was like, well, I have my top 5 personal, favorites that I love, like Birdie and folks of that nature. And then I have my top 5 artists who I don't know that are, on a different stage or a different level, like a Trip Lee, Bizzle, you know, uh T Strike, Black, 3 brothers like that. So it can kind of be hard to pick and just pull that out. So that's why I just like to, separate it out a little bit and just try to make it easier for myself when I'm making those when I'm making those decisions and everything. So um, you spoke about Word Rat, and we do have a track here with you and Word Rat on it. So I want to go ahead and jump into that track right now, and then when we get back, we'll chop it up more with our brother eCsile. Man, you are right here. I'm about to steal his. See, if you never watched War Room, you're not gonna understand what this is. You're sitting right here on Let's Talk Gospel with the brother Word. I'm about to call you Word Rat with the brother eCsile. Brother eCsile right here. Boom.
Check.
Don't mistake this for a diss track.
Here we go.
It's not.
Let's do this, man.
It's a plea
It's in love, man.
to reconsider your approach. They all wanna be famous, they don't know what my name is. Forgot the true aim is to honor the name of the Father above all. But they're caught in this crazy rat race, as if without him they have a chance in hell of getting anything else but last place. Note to self, chasing wealth will only win you the gas face. When at last you stand before the Son of Man, seated at the right hand of the Father. If the only thing you chased in this life was your own desires instead of his righteousness, why bother? My Abba, why hast thou vomit me out like a comet descending on the water without the life jacket? And I know that I am about to drown in my sorrows. Now it's over, lights out. No more chances, the dance is over. When he says depart from me, I didn't know you. It's a business, but business is not what God intended for true ministry to be. You wanna sound like the world when it's so filthy? You wanna talk about standards and quality, how to sell more records so all of these fans flock to grab what you're offering. But if it's not the gospel, it's a mockery.
This industry is probably a great thing for this artistry, but part of me is silently disgusted by the varsity. When artists wholeheartedly produce a work of artistry, they get ripped like pay in the dentistry for sonically an insufficient industry ideology. Ironically and mockingly, you tear them down collectively, leave them in the dirt while they struggle psychologically. Another casualty in the wake of this anomaly. They come to you looking for some kind of clue to be a better artist, cause they loving what you do, and all they got was mockery and rhetoric that honestly inadvertently creates a version of a Pharisee. Just gotta stop, gotta lift each other up. If you don't like how they flowing, brother, help them up. Stop adopting and screenshot cropping the secular.
That's right.
We in the kingdom, bro. Level up.
There's a sickness in the Christian industry. It's a business, but business is not what God intended for true ministry to be. You wanna sound like the world when it's so filthy? You wanna talk about standards and quality, how to sell more records so all of these fans flock to grab what you're offering. But if it's not the gospel, it's a mockery. You won't apologize for harsh words spoken so they might push MCs to be nice on mics. But the fact is there is a standard implied in scripture, but that standard isn't hype. It's not measured by industry standards like still signed or playlists on Spotify. It's defined by Christ. Check the words he said, lettered in red. If you need more evidence, so ruthless the truth is, if you wish to do what he said, you'd sell your shoes and your bobblehead so you could model the gospel for all the heads. Because the world needs more God, not more celebs. Change my name, I'd rather be used to make an actual impact on this nasty place. If you have not love, let your symbol claim. But my advice is be nice, homie, oh behave. There's a sickness in the Christian industry. It's a business, but business is not what God intended for true ministry to be. You wanna sound like the world when it's so filthy? You wanna talk about standards and quality, how to sell more records so all of these fans flock to grab what you're offering. But if it's not the gospel, it's a mockery. Don't mistake this for a diss track. It's a plea to your reproach. They don't want to be famous. They don't know what my name is.
We're back, y'all. We're back with more Let's Talk Gospel. Sitting down with the brother eCsile. One dope artist, man. I'm not just gonna put him in a category of CHH artist. He's definitely a dope artist. Period. He's not only a musical artist, but he also has a show called The War Room. We've touched on that a little bit with his buddy and his partner, Chosen Will. Let the folks know, how did this show come about, and how did you and Chosen Will even meet to do the show together?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked me that, because I forgot to shout out Chosen Will earlier when I was talking about artists. Super blessed to call him a very, very good friend. In fact, one of my best friends. Working with him on music and the show has been like a massive blessing. So Will and I, we met, actually, believe it or not, during the period of time where I was starting to entertain possibly doing music again. The Lord gave me some pretty clear signs that are just crazy, like things that can't be coincidences. And so a whole bunch of things happened kind of all in one, short season that pushed me back in that direction. One of the things that happened is that my wife met somebody at her job who attended the church that we were at the time, and they were talking, and she mentioned to my wife, "Oh, my husband does Christian rap." And my wife was like, "Really? What are the odds of that?" Right? And they didn't know each other very well at the time. They were just getting to know each other, and she kind of just brought it up out of the blue. And so, my wife came home and told me that, and naturally, kind of sparked my curiosity. And so, I found out a little bit more about him and what he was doing, and checked out some of his music. I believe, I don't want to speak for him, but I believe he was going through a season where, he was being led to be more intentional about his faith with his music and stuff. And so we ended up one day after church service, we hooked up and, connected with them, and went out to lunch, and went back to their house for a while and hung out. And he showed me some more music, and I showed him some of the music that I had done. And we just kind of hit it off. Found out, we got to know each other a little bit more, that we actually knew some people, some of the same people, had some common, friends and acquaintances, like from when we were younger. And it was just, one of those crazy God things where he just kind of drops somebody, in front of you, and you really connect. And I believe that was for a purpose. I believe that, God kind of put us, in each other's paths, not just to, have a new friend, but really to connect with somebody that, he had bigger plans for us to do some ministry stuff together. So, as I went through a few more things that I went through, and God put some very clear signs in my path that, I should do music again, and that, I needed to have some sort of active ministry in my life, as I was starting to draw closer to him again. Then it just kind of came together organically. I decided to, do some stuff, and he was one of the first people I reached out to, because I knew he had been actively making music. And so it's like, "Hey, bro, you want to do this song with me?" And so, Will's believe it or not, I don't know how much we talk about it in the war room, but he's a pretty accomplished fisherman, and has actually, fished pro tournaments and stuff, and, had some sponsors. And so we did this track on the first album that I did when I came back to music. It's called Fishers of Men. And that track really was written with him in mind as a feature. And so anyway, we just hit it off, and we've been praying together, and we take part in a Bible study with some other guys on a weekly basis, and just really, have been walking out our faith as friends ever since then. And so it just made sense to, make some music together and do a show and just try to, spread the gospel and encourage other believers.
Amen. Amen. Man, it's wonderful. I agree with Sister Angela when she says, "Yep, God is like that. He'll put people in your pathway at purpose." So definitely, that is 100% the truth. 100% the truth. I agree with that.
Amen.
Yeah, I believe you and Chosen Will bounces off of each other very well. When I'm sitting back, I'm looking at y'all show and everything, and paying attention to y'all interactions. So it's definitely very real, very organic, the way that y'all work together and stuff. So definitely, God really put something together there. So shout out to him, shout out to you. So make sure y'all once again check out War Room every Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Man, make sure y'all give them some love. And if you're an artist, make sure you send your music in, man. Send your music in so that they can put it on the show and have it playing and everything on the show, man. I would really like to find out who is your very first, if you can remember, who was the first rap artist that you ever listened to, regardless if it was Christian or secular? Who is the very first rap artist that bit you with the bug?
Oh man, that is tough. You know, it might have been. This is funny. It might have been Hammer, MC Hammer.
Why did I think that you was gonna say that?
That phase didn't last very long, but I think truthfully, I had been exposed to some other rap, but as far as somebody that I was like actively listening to, it was probably MC Hammer back in the day.
Man, don't tell me you had the pants and everything doing the dance.
I probably did have some pants somewhere back there. I was probably little enough that I don't have to laugh at myself too much.
Hey,
There's
bro,
probably not very many pictures out there, so that's good.
Hey, bro, get up and do the typewriter. Show us your MC Hammer typewriter real quick.
I can't do it, brother. I can't bring myself to do it.
Oh my gosh.
That was a short-lived phase. I will say that. It wasn't very long before, I started to get into some gangster rap and then a lot of the East Coast stuff. Actually, so through most of the 90s, my favorite artist was Nas.
Who's your favorite artist?
Nas.
During most of the 90s.
Nas.
Yeah.
Nas.
Yeah, man. Nas, I'm telling you, Nas is cold. I'm not gonna say was. Nas is cold. Definitely a cold MC, man.
Yeah.
So definitely shout out to him.
Well, I'm not ashamed to say that many guys at my school proudly wore MC Hammer pants.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, well, I definitely had that phase. But yeah, I was rocking. So I will say this. I was rocking with Nas before Ether, before the whole Jay-Z thing.
You were really rocking with him then.
Yeah.
Man. Oh boy. Yeah, Nas definitely takes you back, man. Definitely takes you back. Now, with you bringing, speaking about Nas and speaking about secular, hip hop and everything, how do you feel that CHH music or gospel rap music compares to secular rappers now. Because back in the day, I agree with Andy Mineo. Yes, back in the day, even though it was a different time and a different culture, it was kind of bubblegumish, with the Christian rap. It was just because of getting the feet wet, not really getting into the swing of things. But now I believe we can put a lot of our top five against their top five, and it'll be a heck of a battle. So what do you think about the growth of gospel rap and CHH, compared to secular music now?
So I like that question. That's a good question. And I probably have somewhat of a unique view on that, to be honest with you. So what I would say is there definitely has been growth sonically and artistically in the genre. I don't think you can deny that. My personal opinion is that maybe the amount of growth sometimes gets exaggerated, because I'll be honest with you, I think there were some artists around like in the early 2000s who brought it and maybe just didn't have the platform and didn't have the exposure. I think about like way back in the early 2000s, like Lightheaded, Deep Space Five, Mars Ill, LA Symphony, the Tunnel Rats. I would put those cats up against like pretty much anybody that's making music now. I think they were making quality music back then. But I don't think a lot of them had the exposure that CHH artists have now. And so I think it's both. I think you're 100% correct that the number of talented artists has increased. The exposure that those artists have has definitely increased. But I want to remember where we came from. And so, I would be remiss if I didn't shout out some of those crews that I just mentioned, because I would put the music that they were making, at least artistically, if not sonically, up against, the stuff that the secular world has to offer and the stuff that CHH is putting out now. But I mean, maybe I'm an old head in this now. Like I've, I've been around long enough now that, times change, styles change too. So maybe I'm biased, but I really appreciate the music that some of those groups that I mentioned were making back then. It influenced me. Now, I don't want to throw shade at people, but I mean, I think, I just like yourselves we could name some artists from back in that era that definitely were a little bit more bubblegummy, or, we're trying to be like the Christian knockoff version of, secular artists. That was definitely there. And I think it's not as prevalent now. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, it's a big thing because I related to also with how this year, I'm not sure how much you pay attention to the WNBA, basketball, women's basketball, but I related to that a little bit because of how Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese came into the league, and a lot of the new ones came into the league, and all of a sudden the numbers and everything started going up, and more viewership, more people paying attention, more people purchasing different things of that nature because of their play, their style of play, the way that they brought the game. But it didn't take away from the Cheryl Swoops and the Lisa Leslies and the ones that were there already doing it back in the day, kind of like with how you have, like you said, the Tunnel Rats, and you have Grape Tree Records and artists of that nature was very well, lyrically and putting out some dope music back in the day. But then all of a sudden, how time changes and you have technology has brought us forward within the music and made the music more accessible. You can hear it a little bit more because somebody who didn't live in the area of where Grape Tree lived at may not have ever heard of a Grape Tree Records over on a whole nother coast. So definitely, man.
For
That's
sure.
something, it just makes me think about that and the growth of everything that's going around and happening within music and outside of music, even within religion. Nowadays the growth, because technology has taken it so far. Now a lot of people is like, okay, if you haven't heard the word before, who whose fault is that then? Are
Yeah.
you just not listening? Or you just don't want to hear it? Or what's going on? Because it's on every TV station, it's on every radio, it's on every cell phone, through different apps and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So it's no excuse now for a lot of things like that not to hear it or be embraced from the word or know the word or understand it, if you want to understand it or if you want to know it. So
Yeah. One thing I should mention. So I think I mentioned Lightheaded. I don't know if you know who they were, but so one of the guys that was in Lightheaded, who, even going back to the question earlier about people that I would like to work with, I thought about this. So one person that I think belongs on that list of people that I just mentioned, and also would be somebody that, I had always wanted to work with, Braille. I think Braille, and, he's from out here in Oregon. He's from Portland. I've met him a couple times, never had the opportunity to work with him. But that would be, somebody that I think deserves a shout out, as far as being a very talented lyricist, and just a super cool, like, down to earth guy. He would make my list of people that I would like to work with.
awesome, awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Let's Talk Gospel. We are live on CHH Jams, and I believe on Continuing Don't Stop Radio as well. Maybe not sure. But we are live on CHH Jams and multiple social media platforms, Facebook platforms, and YouTube platforms. And then also after this show, later on in the week, it will be uploaded to our podcast affiliates as well. Shout out to imradio.com, imradio.com. They replay our show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on their radio station. So go check out their music. They have a lot of great gospel music over there playing as well. And shout out to our Level Up Nation family. Level Up Nation family. You can catch us over there every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with our other show, CHH Jams Presents. This Sunday, we will be sitting down with the group Dub 3K, Dub 3K. So make sure you check that out. They have an excellent album that's out, that has been out for almost, I believe, 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months now, called Pyramid Scheme. If you haven't heard it before, please go run those numbers up on anywhere you listen to music, man. Support these artists. They're definitely doing their thing. Shout out to Mr. Classy. Our brother, Mr. Classy, is in the building in the comments. Shout out to you, brother. We got to get you back up on here as well so we can get your music shared on here. So, Sister Kimberly, do you have anything else? If not, you can start wrapping us up.
No, I think I've had a very interesting talk tonight, some inspiration, and I hope everyone got the same inspiring information that I received. And I just want to say thank you for having the heart that you have, following the word of God as well as his voice. And I'm looking forward to whatever else you have coming down the pipeline, and for you coming back to sit with us on Let's Talk Gospel.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and definitely would love to join you again and chop it up some more.
And next time, I'll be waiting for a song that can premiere itself in the convertible this summer.
Very good. Very good.
Oh man. All right, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna end it off with Viper. Let the folks know about Viper, brother, because I know you did that's a collab with Chosen Will and another person on there.
Yeah. Viper Pit. So this is collab with Rocky Valley and Chosen Will. It's actually produced by Dax Hama, who works with Menace Movement. And cool thing about this song. So we did this just, intending to do a track together. And it kind of inspired some stuff behind the scenes. And so we haven't talked about this a whole lot, although we mentioned it last week in the War Room. But the three of us are actually working on a project together, an EP or a full album. We'll see where it goes, but definitely a collection of songs that we're going to put out with all three of us. And so this wasn't initially intended as it, but it's kind of become the lead single for that project. We're hoping to have that out first part of next year. So.
Man, excellent. Y'all heard it right here. Also on the War Room. So make sure y'all be in the lookout for that, man. Flood their emails, man. Flood Rocky Valley, Chosen Will, and eCsile's email and inbox and everything. Say, where the album at? Get that album out here. We're waiting on the album. Come on. All right. So we're about to end it off with that, man. We will be back tomorrow night. Man, we'll be back tomorrow night with a longtime friend, man, the brother Tony Woe. Tony Woe is part of a collective of brothers as well, and they go by the name of the Wise Men. Also, another person that's a part of the Wise Men, couple of people, is Dej P, Survivor Q. Brother Nick Knack is a part of the Wise Men. They're out there in the California area. And I'll just give you a little something that the interesting thing about Tony Woe is that he has not only been a CHH artist, a Christian artist for a while now, but he also transitioned into a business owner out there. And we're going to talk more about that because it's something healthy that he's doing for the community and losing weight. And if you look at his before and after pictures, man, it'll really take you back. So I'm excited to have the brother on. Haven't had a chance to sit down and chop it up with him in a couple of years now. So so tune in tomorrow night. We sit down with the brother Tony Woe. But we ended off tonight, man, with Viper Pit and our brother eCsile, Chosen Will, and Rocky Valley. Y'all have a great evening.
Brood of vipers who warned you to flee from the wrath to come. You can't run or hide. The axe laid to the root will divide the truth from lies. Every tree that bears bad fruit is tossed in the fire to burn like chaff from the threshing floor, but no one can snatch those he has chosen from the hand of the Holy One of God, the mighty Lamb. Are they dissidents or just plagued by dissonance? Ignorant to the fact what they say they believe in, the way they act conflict like a flickering flame that just can't seem to stay lit. I'll say it no matter how much these fake saints hate the truth. We came to proclaim it to anyone who has ears. Let him hear what the Lord will do. I'll scream it loud from the stage or the vocal booth. Brood of vipers who warned you to flee from the wrath to come. You can't run or hide. The axe laid to the root will divide the truth from lies. Every tree that bears bad fruit is tossed in the fire to burn like chaff from the threshing floor, but no one can snatch those he has chosen from the hand of the Holy One of God, the mighty Lamb.
I got a firm grip on the battle axe, live on the set. Stay equipped within the habitat. I'm live and direct in the land of the snake's eye. Swing better till the breaker. Dawn, I survive through the mess. Watch me shake them off, no time to be soft. Break them off, show them I carry my cross. Take them off the playing field, cause it ain't a game. Christ will extinguish what hell brings like it ain't a flame. Walk through the shadows, I battle every one of mine. Heart full of ammo, scriptures everyone can find. Blocker, no one can stop her. Child of God walking proper. Our Father in heaven, we keep on stepping and no weapon shall prosper. No, it's a cold world, guaranteed that we make it harder.
War room. Brood of vipers who warned you to flee from the wrath to come. You can't run or hide. The axe laid to the root will divide the truth from lies. Every tree that bears bad fruit is tossed fire to burn like chaff from the threshing floor, but no one can snatch those he has chosen from the hand of the Holy One of God, the mighty Lamb.
Wow, chosen. War room connection. Vipers in this industry spreading infection. Camouflaged in our media, causing deception. Super group here, snake wrangling henchmen. I'm done with this mess, serpent heads I'm severing. It's time to break free from demonic enslavement. Breaking down the doors of the CHH nation. Flip a few tables and causing displacement. The tracks that I'm lacing, the gospel's intertwined in these rhymes, no faking. Recording in my basement, coming from the underground straight to the pavement. Give your life to Christ, whoa, what a bold statement. Can't be our way, cause Yahweh is amazing. Ain't no false claims, so my sins he's erasing. Now I'm on a mission and I'm staying in his book, so I guess I'm paper chasing.
Brood of vipers, who warned you to flee from the wrath to come? You can't run or hide. The axe laid to the root will divide the truth from lies. Every tree that bears bad fruit is tossed in the fire to burn like chaff from the threshing floor, but no one can snatch those he has chosen from the hand of the Holy One of God.